Yo, you're watching the Screaming Fish once again, people, and today I am going to fast and furiously rank all 7 Fast and Furious movies from best to worst. In case anyone doesn't know what that means, basically I rank all 7 of these movies from least favorite to favorite, basically. Yeah. So, without further ado, let's get on to ranking these movies from worst to best. Sorry, did I say best to worst? No, just worst to best. All right. So basically, my least favorite Fast and Furious movie is the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. While there are some pretty amazing racing sequences, and the drifting was probably the best part of the film, not to mention how beautiful the film makes Tokyo look, but the story was a bit all over. Not only was this a sequel that had nearly no connection to the other movies, aside from being set in between 6 and 7, and a few characters like Han and Toretto showing up here and there, but the performances just made me miss the original cast, and even more, as the characters were so bland and one-dimensional, but they're pretty much just one-dimensional, basically. And the villain I found to be a bit whiny and annoying. So yeah, scale 1 to 10, it gets a 5 out of 10. It's an alright film, but I mean, it is my least favorite Fast and Furious film. So anyway, number 6, Fast and Furious, aka Fast and Furious 4. Not to be mistaken with the Fast and the Furious. So basically, Fast and Furious 4, the first movie to have Vin Diesel and Paul Walker in the same movie together in a while, but it also brought back characters like Letty and Mia, not to mention that there is some pretty cool and sweet action sequences. Unfortunately, the story was a bit typical in my opinion, and in every action sequence, the CGI was painfully obvious. I mean, especially in that, sure, that scene where Toretto kind of rolls his car under a rolling fuel tank, the CGI was just painfully obvious. And it also didn't really make sense, as it kind of threw everything away that happened in the ending of Too Fast, Too Furious, but overall, it was great to see the cast reunite in this film, and for the most part, it was okay. 6 out of 10. So, number 5 is Too Fast, Too Furious. Aside from the visuals that make it look like a B-movie, a terrible villain, and the absence of Vin Diesel and the others, the film has an amazing title that fits perfectly with the story. Not to mention, it introduces Ludacris's Tej and Tyrese Gibson's Roman Pierce, 2 of my favorite characters in the series. Plus, the movie has a pretty entertaining torture scene involving a rat inside a bucket, and to top it off, Paul Walker and Tyrese Gibson fly a car into a boat. How is that not awesome? So, scale 1 to 10, 7 out of 10. Yeah, it looks like a B movie on the outside, but it is actually a pretty good movie on the inside. So, number 4, The Fast and the Furious. Yeah, the story may not be that great, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it is almost a complete rip-off of Point Break, but cars for surfboards, and the characters are and some of the characters are too unlikable to even care about. This movie makes it this high for starting off a memorable franchise, and also the first race is probably the best filmed street race I've ever seen in a film. And the performances from Vin Diesel and Paul Walker in particular are amazing. Aside from the movie's story being a complete rip-off of Point Break, I still like watching this film despite its flaws. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, in case anyone didn't hear me say that, right? So anyway, now we're on to my top 3. I'm not gonna lie, you guys are probably gonna think this is a bit typical of me, but this is my opinion, so, if you don't like my opinion, do not care. So, number 3 is Furious 7. The most epic film in the series, and probably the best in terms of performances. Furious 7 has some amazing action sequences, and in my opinion, the best villain in the series. Not to mention the performances from each and every one of the cast, especially seeing as how Paul Walker's unexpected and tragic death, rest in peace, and put a lot of pressure on everyone. But despite that, the odds they did it, and Furious 7 not only turned out to be a great movie on its own and have one of the best soundtracks of all time, but it's also, in my opinion, one of the best movies of last year, despite its issues, and that added with the emotional tribute to Paul Walker in the end. 9 out of 10. So, number 2, Fast and Furious 6. Story-wise, it may not be that great, but boy were the action sequences amazing in this film. Not to mention, Shaw made for a very entertaining villain, and Dwayne Johnson was still as badass as he was in 5. Plus Toretto's ongoing goal to help Letty, who is suffering from amnesia. I'm not gonna lie here. I haven't seen the film in a while, so I can't really comment much on it. But I will say this: it does get a 9 out of 10 from me. So, my number 1 favorite Fast and Furious movie is pretty obvious, I know, but I don't care what you people think. Opinion-wise, at least. I still want you to like my videos, but still, my number 1 favorite Fast and Furious movie is Fast 5. Yeah, I know, this one was obvious, but this is the best Fast and Furious movie for so many reasons. One being that the story is probably the most original out of the lot, not to mention the introduction to a certain Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Airbus, as Luke Hobbs, and it also included a cast of memorable characters, all of which had appeared in at least one of the past films. This also is the only Fast and Furious movie where I felt connected to each and every one of the characters, and like always, it was unrealistically epic and fun. 9 out of 10. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. And also, I'd just like to ask you, how would you rank these movies? Like, what order would you go, like, worst to best? So, and, yeah, I do hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys later. Now, I'm gonna go find my bro. He owes me a 10-second car.